Our focus is just like a camera lens and only captures exactly where it's aimed. Hi, my name is Michelle. This is my husband, Boyd. Welcome to our channel, The Freedom Habit. And today we're talking about where your attention goes, energy flows. So our focus, whether we realize it or not, literally creates our reality. Whatever we're thinking about is what's going to show up in our day. And we talked about this before. We talked about how what opens up the reticular activating system. Is that correct?
Reticular activating system.
Okay. So as we're thinking about it, like at night, our example was thinking about it at night, ruminating over your day at work. So what you're doing is you're letting your brain know what kind of day you want to have the next day, and your reticular activating system will make sure that you do.
Yeah, it actually seeks out whatever you put in there, and it'll try to make that happen, or it'll start noticing that certain thing. Like if you buy a car, I bought a Pontiac Grand Am one time, and as soon as I bought it, I noticed there was Pontiac Grand Ams all over the road.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, that's what you have, that's what you're seeing. You're identifying with that car, and then that's what you see. So whatever you're identifying with,
right.
That's why our personal identity, is so important. Because that's what we're going to see. That's what we're going to notice about ourselves. That's what we're going to expect from others. It's what our life is made up of, actually.
Right. And the more we start to focus on any problems we have, the more problems we will have. And if we take our focus off of our problems, we'll begin to see opportunities, actually.
Yeah, we're talking about law of attraction stuff now,
Yeah.
And we didn't come up on this until I was 62, and you're in your mere 30s. So
that's right.
Now, it's never too late, is the point. If we thought it was too late, we would never even try this. I mean, we wouldn't even be talking about this. We've seen so many things happen because we have chosen to believe this and walk in this, and
we've experienced it.
And experienced things happening.
Yes. Yeah. We're just talking about things that we have experienced that we wanted to share with you, because what a difference it has made to really start to, take a look at our beliefs, our limiting beliefs, things that we're focusing on, realizing our self-talk, the things we say to ourselves, the things we say out loud, because what we're saying out loud and what we're thinking is what we're putting out there.
Yeah, and our frequency is the magnetic part of us that draws things to us.
Yes.
And that draws us to things or even other people. And I don't think, well, I know I didn't know that. I mean, on some level I might have, or I might have heard it, but I don't think I ever really bought it. But I've seen too much truth in it to deny it at this point.
Right.
And even Jesus said, when you pray, believing that you already have received it, it will be done. Now that might be a paraphrase. There's a bunch of different versions of that. But he even said, believe it's done. So it is finished. Like he said, even when he died, it is finished. It's done. It's over. If you believe it, if it's not here now, it's coming.
Right.
And that's awesome. And it's true.
Right.
That's what makes it even more awesome.
That is true. And that's the thing. We are always manifesting things. And, we don't even realize it. But if you're putting out there things like, I hate my job, I hate where I live, I hate my car, believe it or not, you're manifesting. So manifesting isn't just about getting the things you want. It's what you believe.
Even saying things, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go
even
ahead.
saying things like, well, that's what always happens to me. That's just figures. That's how it always goes. Like even that kind of stuff. Just self-deprecation. Making fun of yourself. Bruce Lee said, never make fun of yourself, because your mind and your body don't know the difference. And that's absolutely true. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches that too. Our minds believe our imaginations. And that's why Einstein said our imaginations are more powerful than knowledge because our minds believe them.
Because we are creating reality.
We are creators. We're made in the image of God, and what's God? The creator. So are we. Another part of where our energy goes, where our attention goes, our energy flows, is the fact of positive versus negative energy. Now, we were talking about the RAS and how that makes us notice different things. And it's kind of the same with the positive and negative energy. If you're expecting negative results, that's what you're going to get. If you're expecting good things to happen, that's what you're going to see too. We are so programmed by our parents and teachers when we're young that usually we lean, more towards one or the other. But just as humans, because we were given a survival instinct by God, it was put there for us to survive as a species. So we tend to lean towards the negative, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And that's just by nature of who we are. But we can break out of that, and we don't really need that anymore.
No, we don't.
I mean, I'm not saying at all, but we don't need to live in that. Like we used to live in that 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and we use our past experiences we'll use that as a compass for what we're expecting our day to go, how we expect things to happen by what happened in the past. And, we were talking yesterday, Boyd and I went grocery shopping. We went to like Macro, so it was the big shopping. And last month when we had went there, it was packed. It was packed and it was a little bit miserable. So, we were just last month, we just couldn't wait to get home. So this month, we decided that, whatever, if it's busy, that's all right. We're just going to take our time, just, do what we got to do. And so we just kind of detached. We detached from that. We were like, it doesn't matter what happened in the past. Today is going to be different. And I got to tell you, you know what? It was a really great shopping experience.
And we also were joking around before we went.
Yeah.
So we kind of got in a good mood before we went.
Raised our vibe.
To kind of set the stage. We were joking around about things. And we had a good time shopping, which is not always the case.
Right.
But anyhow, positive versus negative. I mean, it makes all the difference. You really do see what you're looking for, and you got to be it before you see it. Especially when we're trying to change our lives or something, or make more money. If we don't believe we can do it, you can work as hard as you want. And if deep down inside you don't think you're worthy or you're capable, you're not going to make more money because your thermostat's set. I make this amount of money. That's what I'm used to. It might rise up a little bit, but then it will take you right back down. It might go below a little bit, but then it'll rise back up too, because this is where you're at.
Right. And then we have that mental idea of what our limit is. We will limit ourselves instead of telling ourselves, you know what, the sky's the limit. I can make as much as anybody else because everybody can make whatever they want. I mean, it's literally possible, but we'll limit ourselves on what we think we're capable of making.
Joe Dispenza says this. I've seen him say this in interviews. His parents were really supportive of him just as a person. Like they used to tell him, well, if anybody did it, you can. If any person on earth has ever done it before, then you can. Which is why I think he's so confident and has actually stretched the limits of. He's taught people how to heal from cancer and all kinds of diseases and stuff because he healed himself first. And
he experienced that.
He experienced it, and then he went around and interviewed other people who experienced that and took down all that data, and now he does seminars teaching people how to do it. And he has helped so many people by teaching them how to set their minds right to get in that spot to heal.
Right. And he's even getting some of the medical professionals are showing up at his seminars wanting to check this out because they're seeing patients and not, they're shocked.
Yeah. He has the largest database in the world on healing yourself with meditation and intention and envisioning things and all that. So anyhow, So it really matters what you think of yourself and just what you're expecting even every day. When you wake up and you're expecting a good day, you're probably going to have one. And if things do go off the rails a little bit, if you're expecting a good day, I don't think you're going to panic as much because it'll turn around. You could turn that around.
Okay, next is energy attracts like energy. And I talked about this in my video the other day. This makes me think of the quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
You know, I talked about when we react to things, we're sending that reaction out into the universe and it's going to come right back to us. So how we react to things, that's what comes back. Energy attracts like energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's an example. I think it's an example at least. You know, even when we were living in Pittsburgh back in America, I was doing it, but Michelle would join me. When she came home from work, I was watching videos of Thailand.
Oh yeah.
Because I wanted to come back to Thailand, and so did she. So I watched those to get excited and remind myself of how beautiful it was here, and it would raise my energy.
Yeah.
So my energy was high, so I could be a magnet to draw coming back to Thailand to us.
That's true.
And it worked, huh?
That's true. That's what you were focused on, huh?
Yeah, I was focused on getting us back here because we weren't really thrilled about where we were. But the point is it worked.
Right.
And it's amazing. And you know what? It didn't look like it would. We had no idea how that it happened. So
yeah, and we did. We kind of really focused on that and we visualized it.
Yeah.
We got our heart and mind coherence.
Yes.
And that's what it is getting that elevated emotion with your visualization. It's really, really important because that's the thing is getting that vibration up to be on that frequency of whatever it is that you're desiring, that higher self, that better job, that bigger home, more time to yourself. You know, that's the thing is, I'm sorry, I just don't mean to take over, but you know, when we hear abundance, everyone thinks of money. And abundance isn't just money. It's all kinds of things. It's your energy. It's your time. It's
health.
It's your health. Yes. So, you know, try to think of these things. Try to be aware and grateful for the little things. Maybe you got an extra hour in the morning. Everyone else was still asleep. So you got an extra hour to kind of get some time to yourself. Be grateful for that. That's abundance.
And the next one is mindfulness and awareness, which is really important because until we pay attention to what we're thinking and feeling, we really can't get past it. We're going to be in autopilot.
Yeah.
We're going to be locked in autopilot until we start being aware that we're in autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that we're ruminating about something negative. Excuse me. You know, over and over again, same feelings, the same thoughts, and the thoughts create the feelings, and the feelings create the thoughts, and that can even create pains in your body and anxiety and all kinds of stuff. And another reason it's really important to be aware is because you have to feel your feelings and notice them and deal with them on some level, but we don't have to just sit in them and wallow in them. At some point, we could redirect our thoughts and our emotions, you know, and transmute them, if you will, into something positive, or even just something distracting, even just to, you know, even if it's not super positive, at least get off the negative track and make it neutral. At least, you know, you can at least do that.
Yeah. I never realized how important that was to not just sit in your little pity party. You know, I mean, really, so I do. I try to, and I had mentioned this before, if I have a challenge or a problem, I ask myself, have I done everything right now that I can do? And then I try to get it out of my mind because it's really, all it's doing is just, you know, I'm focusing on lack. I'm focusing on my problem. And that's just bringing that right back to me. And it's just making me miserable. So I do what I can do. and then I set it aside until there's something else maybe I can do. And a lot of times it seems to just kind of work its way out.
So yeah, don't run from your emotions. Feel them for a bit, maybe a few minutes or so. And then try to get back to your highest version of yourself. The highest vibration of yourself. As best you can,
Right.
Maybe meditate, just do some deep breathing exercises, whatever it takes just to get your mind focused on something positive again, and find some joy and calmness so you're not, overwhelmed and nervous and anxious, because like Michelle said, all that does is it just keeps drawing more of that to you.
Right.
Did you ever notice when you have a bad day and you wake up, I don't know, you stub your toe and then you start brushing your teeth and you drop toothpaste, falls off and gets on your shirt, and then you get in the car and your battery's dead. And
Right.
seriously,
then you go to work and you tell everyone about it. You tell everyone about your morning, so you're continuing to keep that cycle going.
Yeah. And you're 10 minutes late, so your boss is like, the next time we're going to give you a written warning, and then now you're worried about your job. Like, seriously, like, haven't you ever gone down a rabbit hole like that? It's just like one thing after another. That's why this concept here is so important.
Yeah.
It really is.
It really is.
You can pull yourself out of that if you're aware. See, that's the thing. If you're aware that you're going there and you're mindful of it, you can transmute that, redirect it, pull yourself out of it before it's spiral. That's a good word.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Anything else you might want to say?
I'm good to go.
All right. You have a good day.
Thanks.